So Snoop just came home yesterday, and his guardians, being very diligent, have set up a session with me to work on the basics so we get started on the right track, which is a really smart thing to do because it's a lot easier to get your dog started off on the right track than to have to develop bad habits and then have to turn around and fix them and then train them. So some people will tell you that puppies are too young to be trained. Those are people who use what's known as dominance theory, which is a form of correcting, or I don't want to say punishing, but it's really correcting the dog for doing the wrong thing and then waiting for it to do the right and then rewarding it. What I want to do is just prevent the dog from doing the wrong thing by providing leadership and structure and not putting it in a position to fail. And then make sure that when it does the right thing, we have treats with us. So I started out, I was going to do this one on potty train, but we're going to do it just on kind of being prepared. So a couple things you want to do. If you have a puppy, they like to sample things with their mouth and like to chew. So earlier, Snoop had one of the girls' ponytail in his mouth. Now, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where it's easy for him to do that. So a real easy way to prevent him from doing that is to not lay on the ground when he's nearby. I know he's cute and we want to do that, but it's our fault if we put him in a position where he's chewing because he just wants to put everything in his mouth. So even though some things are cute, sometimes we have to do things that are better for the dog rather than for us. So initially, maybe if he starts getting nippy with your hair, we stand up and we don't give him access to the hair. Another little rule of thumb is if a puppy starts getting really mouthy and more chewy and bitey than normal, that's usually a good indication they need to take a nap. So I would immediately take him in there. Now the problem, you guys have a playpen, which is great, but it's in the kid playroom. So if he's taking a nap, then I would say the kids are not allowed to go in there.
Right.
And it also is a little bit of a dark room or a bright room, so you might want to kind of do some of the shutters. The darkness will help him kind of settle down. And don't force him to. If he goes in there and he's playing with his stuff, that's fine. Don't tell him. Eventually he'll settle himself down and he'll go in there. But we don't want, if people are like playing right out here and he can see them and hear them, he's going to whine and whimper. So if that's the case until he goes to sleep, maybe we go play outside or upstairs or somewhere else. Also, having an appropriate chew toy, like a nylabone, a rigid nylabone that doesn't bend. I would get several of them, of the little ones, and give, so you have 4 kids, so I would have at least 8 of them. So that way the kids can always have one in their pocket. So if he starts chewing on them, what they do is they pull one out, and if I'm the dog, I don't want to just put it right in his mouth because dogs like to be teased a little bit. So I'm going to tap the shoulder, when he goes here, then I'm going to tap this shoulder, and there's chest with the toy, and when he's kind of looking at it, and then eventually let him win and grab it, and then I let go. Then he's interested in chewing and chomping on that. So you can get, and that's, now that one is a little flexible. Can I see that one real quick? So this is a nylabone. Usually these comes in a 3-pack, and there's 3 of these. One of these will be a cookie. One of these will be somewhat rigid. You can see I can bend this one, and one usually is a white one that is completely rigid that you can't bend at all. There you go, buddy. So now that one's okay for them right now, but if they start chewing pieces off it, then we want to replace that with the rigid nylabone. So there's no give to it. Okay. That's okay initially because it gets them started. The cookie really gets them started. Then you transition this one, then you go to the rigid hard one. But if the kids always have one, when he starts nipping or biting at them, they try to do that. And also if he has something he's not supposed to, he's chewing on the shoe or something, we don't want to just snatch it away. We kind of tap it around him and tease him with it, and then get him distracted from the shoe, then give him the item. Another good habit to get into is I like baby carrots. Now, he's so small, I wouldn't even get baby carrots. I would get like the carrot chips. Okay. So they're and they basically and you can also get shredded carrots and put a little bit of that in because he's so small. Put a little bit of that in with his food. But because he's not going to be eating out of a bowl, I would just sprinkle a couple around. So it's okay for him to chew them. He can ingest them, and if we get him in a habit of doing that, later on in life, when he starts teething, we could start giving him those after we freeze them in the fridge, and so it helps numb his gums. But it helps to get him used to chewing on those now. Okay. So those are good little things to do. Now, one last little thing is puppies are really cute, and when they come and jump up on us, we have a tendency to pet them. That trains the dog that the way to get attention from the human is to jump up on the human. There's a technique called manding, which means that you ask the dog to sit before it does something. This is known as the dog becoming operant, when it realizes if I sit, I can influence a human. So when you're going to let him out of the playpen, I would go to the pen, and this will be easier once he knows sit better. But wait for him to sit, then open the door. If he jumps up on the kennel, on the gate, walk away. Or just stand there and remain completely motionless and don't discourage him. Just wait. And as soon as he jumps down, then if he doesn't know sit, as soon as he just jumps down, then open the gate immediately. So you have 2 latches. So maybe I open one and the second one is the safeguard. And but if he's jumping up and banging against it and we let him out, then that teaches him this is the proper way to ask to get out, is bang on the gate. And as he gets older, he might knock it over or try to jump over it. So if we get him to learn, I have to sit before a human pets me. I have to sit before I get permission to come out. I have to sit before my food gets delivered. Then it starts, instead of jumping up on people and spazzing out, he starts sitting to influence people. And that is where people are like, wow, your dog is so well behaved. And you're like, all he's doing is sitting. But that's a great thing to do.
Okay.
All right, so these are some basic puppy stuff.
Okay.